everybody, and God bless. So just really quickly, there is some noise in the background. That is Charity. I'm very sorry. She's just really excited. I'm real sorry. Anyways, also, guys, please pray for me. We are trying to potty train, and I need prayer, okay? But anyway, so I want to talk about something that happened to me a couple months ago. And basically, I had like this open vision, and this demon was next to me. It was trying to get me to give into this fantasy. And then in the vision, I did give into the fantasy, and it made the devil become more powerful. So, hello everybody, and God bless. So I forgot the most important part, and that was to describe the demon that I saw in my vision. So basically, I saw this figure, and on the top half of this figure, it was a male, but on the bottom half, it was a female. And it was naked, so thank God I wasn't able to see the bottom half. But basically, like, it was showing me how this demon is more, it gets power, and it gets bigger, and it started growling once, like, you give into that fantasy, once you give into that what if scenario. So like, if the devil's talking to you, trying to get you to have like a what if scenario, and then you give into it, the demon just gets even more powerful. So recently I've been just feeling led to talk to you guys about what if scenarios, because I've talked about before that what if scenarios are satanic, but I don't think I really got into it in depth and really talked about what a what if scenario is. So if I'm sitting down and I'm saying, what if God comes back? This is what I want from God. If I'm in heaven and this is just what I imagine in heaven, that's okay, because you're talking about God. You're excited for God. You're thinking about him, and you're worshiping God, thinking that way. You're just thinking about God, you know? So that's okay. But things like, what if I won a lottery and then I could buy this and I can buy that and I can buy that? Or what if I met the man of my dreams right now and I can do this and this and this and that and things like that? That's not okay, because first of all, you're thinking of things on this earth. You're thinking of things on this world, and that's not of God. You're not thinking of God. You're thinking of now. And then sometimes the devil will try and trick you and say, well, what if God sends you a man that is of God? Or what if God sends you like $100 or something like that? That's still not okay, because God has not done that. God has not talked to you about doing that. You should not be thinking about what if scenarios at all that you don't know what's happening. Like, we know God is coming back. We know that for a fact. We know that we're gonna, if you live righteous in heaven, righteous in God, and you die in heaven and you go to heaven, you know that for a fact. You know that is gonna happen. So sitting down with my sister, we talk about, a lot of times we talk about when we're in heaven, what's gonna happen, like what we want to do and all that stuff. I do believe that that is okay, but having what if scenarios of things that you hope to happen that you're not even sure is going to happen, a lot of times, like something that's not going to happen at all, I don't think that's okay. So also, another example of a what if scenario is not saying what if at all. Like, you could just be minding your business, and like, let's say for instance, you're cleaning something or whatever, and you just randomly say like, oh, this is how I clean, because you're imagining making like a YouTube video of cleaning. And it's just like, you don't do YouTube videos on cleaning. You would never do a YouTube video on cleaning. And who are you talking to? And that's another thing. Like, I ask myself that a lot. If I find myself talking in my mind, I ask myself, who am I talking to? Because if I'm not talking to myself, I'm not talking to God, then you are talking to a devil. Like earlier today, I was thinking about Charity, for instance. I just said I'm trying to potty train her. And I was thinking, okay, well, if I wait too long, she could possibly potty on herself. Okay, but she needs to eat and all that stuff. You know, I'm thinking, and I am talking to myself. I really am trying to put thoughts together. I'm talking to myself, and that's okay. But like, let's say I'm taking my animals outside, or like they'll meow at the door, and I think in my head, no, you can't go outside. And then I started thinking, well, what if my mom was right here and she asked me why I said no? And then I started thinking about that conversation. It's just like, that is a what if scenario that most likely would never happen. Because one thing, she's not here. Even if you're thinking about somebody who's super like predictable, it's still something that most likely will not happen. You have no idea what the future holds, so you don't talk about things like that. I hope that makes sense. But it's just like, who are you talking to? Because if I'm imagining myself talking to my mom and my mom's not right there, who am I talking to? Because I'm not talking to myself. I'm not talking to my mom. I'm definitely talking to a demon at that point, you know? So I hope that makes sense. But another way that you can tell, and I've talked about this briefly before, but another way you can tell if you're having any satanic thought, anything like that, anything that's not of God, is all of a sudden you are not going to want to read the Bible anymore. You're not going to want to, you know, pray, worship, or do anything like that. So I guess like this is just like my recommendation. If you are dealing with any kind of stronghold in your life that's causing you to get away from God, find what it is that makes you feel closer to God. Like an example is my sister. She feels closer to God when she draws. And I remember one time during Sabbath, she was drawing, and I told her, I said, Sky, it's Sabbath right now. We're supposed to be like worshiping God in some way, doing something for God. And she told me, she was like, this makes me feel closer to God. And I was like, oh, okay. Like I would have never thought drawing would make somebody feel closer to God, but that's her. That's what she says makes her feel closer to God. I definitely believe her. She's more happier. She's more in tune with God with that way. And so if she's ever dealing with a stronghold, I would tell her, go draw and pray as you're drawing, worship as you're drawing, because she'll have like worship music going on, and I would like, go do that. For me, writing to God makes me feel closer. And so if I'm dealing with a stronghold or something like that, I just jump up and I just go grab my notebook and my pencil, and I just start writing. I just start writing out to God and just start praying to him as I'm writing. My mom, for her, is prayer. Praying makes her feel closer to God. So she'll just go into like prayer for like hours and hours and hours if she needs to. And that's just what she does. So whatever makes you feel closer to God, do those things. Do those things. And pray that God breaks those strongholds for you. Ask him to show you what makes you feel closer. Because I always thought that what made me feel closer was worshiping and listening to music and dancing. But then I would deal with those strongholds, and I would literally turn up my music so super, super loud and try and like block out any thoughts trying to make me deal with those strongholds, and it would never work. And then finally one day I just started writing to God, and I was like, oh, this is what makes me feel closer to God, is writing to God. And that's the thing, because I wanted it to be dancing because I love dancing, but that's not what it was. And what it was writing to God. So you need to find whatever it is in your life that makes you feel closer to God. And that's going to really help you, you know, with those strongholds. And then another thing to help you with strongholds, I've also talked about this in my Revelation chapter 1-5 video. And I talked about how you need to open the door to God. And I will make this prayer a lot. Oh no. And I will make this prayer a lot. And I will say to God, I say, God, I am opening this door to you, Lord God. I am opening it up. I pray that you come in and you tell me what I need to do, why this is happening to me. And then 9 times out of 10, God will tell me like right then and there, or he'll like bring something to my remembrance or something like that. Like God will show me what I need to do. So I hope this all makes sense, like with what if scenarios, and just really paying attention to what goes on in your life that makes you not want to deal with God. Hopefully, you know, this all helps you guys out there. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you have like, I don't think it means that you have like a sin in your life or anything like that. I think it just really shows how you are a threat to the devil. And that's one of the ways that he tries to attack us, is by having us to try and have us have those what if scenarios. I hope this all makes sense. I pray that you guys pray and, you know, ask God to help you find what it is that pulls you closer to God. God bless you all. Have a nice one.